Good morning, guys. Turn you up. Happy Thursday. Oh, sorry about that. What I've got to get is a mount for my phone because mine broke. And so, yeah. So there we go. It's going to keep. I'm going to try it one more time. We're going to try it one more time. The car edition. Welcome to the Fearless Morning Show. We are having confessions and conversations about your everyday life and finances. Ms. Margaret, you have no idea. You have no idea how we're going today. And it's going. My name is Yamitra Jojo Waddell, the only Live Past Crazy specialist. So what better place to be than here with me. Y'all, this week, since last Thursday, I have not slept good at all. Like, I'm talking, I go to sleep, but I'm not asleep, and I am exhausted. And so I normally, when I feel like I can finally go to sleep is like 5 o'clock. Like you're in that sleep, but you're not really asleep. Yeah, for a week. Today makes a week now. Oh my gosh. And every day I say I'm going home to go to bed early, and every day I have done none of that. Great morning, Miss Valerie. Great morning. Great morning. It's going to be a great day. All right, guys. Let's get started. If you haven't, please make sure you share the show because sharing is caring so that we can help out a brother or a sister somewhere along the way. And I have not yawned until I pressed the camera button on. How is that? So, today, Fearless Thought, we have two, and they are both one is for me. And this is the one that's for me, and my purpose partners are going to be like, yep, we know it. Well, I've been doing that, but I can't get comfortable in the bed. I don't know. The Fearless Thought for the day is twofold. So the first one, let's talk about the first one is forgiveness is part of your growth. Like, on this journey, y'all, we have got to learn to forgive folk and people, because if we do not, let me tell you what is going to happen. And here's my thing, and y'all know how I feel about cliche words and people saying stuff just to be saying. Like, Jesus be a fence, honey, he'll make a way. I hate cliche words like that, phrases. Don't give me that. Give me action items, because I can do the cliche stuff myself. I know that. So give me action items. And so when people say you got to forgive, I'm going to have to try. And see, I have the journal by my bed, and I haven't been writing in it lately. So I'll do that. I'll try that. When people say you've got to forgive somebody, they usually say, honey, the forgiveness is not for you, it's for them, and you're going to feel so much better when you forgive them. Yeah, but how? How do I forgive somebody who tried to kill me? How do I forgive somebody that has hurt all of my feelings? Courtney used to tell me that, Mommy, you hurt all of my feelings. How do you forgive somebody who has hurt all of your feelings? How do you forgive somebody who has stabbed you in the back, betrayed you, broke your heart? How do you do that? Don't tell me just to forgive them and that the forgiveness is just for me. I understand the concept of forgiving. I understand the concept of it ain't for them, JoJo, it's for you. You gonna feel better. I understand all of that. Again, y'all don't like cliche phrases. So, how do you really forgive somebody so that you can move on? Please understand, first of all, everything that I share with you guys about my journey past crazy, I ain't going to say it was easy. And I ain't going to say the process was quick. I will say the process was worth it, and you got to be disciplined and dedicated. So when you are forgiving someone, you have got to want to forgive them. You can't forgive them begrudgingly, meaning, okay, I forgive you, but I'm still going to have an attitude. Okay, I forgive you, but I'm still going to give you the side eye. Okay, I forgive you, but don't you dare, do nothing back to me. We have the forgiveness with restrictions. We have the forgiveness with stipulations. And when people tell you to forgive somebody and they give you them cliche phrases, let me tell you, for me, and this is my confession and conversation, it's not going to work. It didn't work for me. When the Lord said, JoJo, you're going to have to forgive your ex-husband, I said, yeah, right. That's a negative. I'm not fixing to forgive him for nothing that he done to me. And that's all my country words. I'm not forgiving him. You can stop it. Right, Miss Fallon. And let me tell you what happened right after we left. It wasn't right after, but a couple of weeks, maybe a good month after we left. I was out of the shelter. I was living with a friend, and me and the girl slept in one bed, and there was a chair in the bed, and I never forget this. I come upstairs to the room, and Courtney is getting ready for bed, and I get in the bed with Courtney, and we say our prayers. Because even though I'm mad at God, I'm in the habit of praying. Because when you go through stuff like that, that's a whole nother conversation. I was real mad at God. So we saying our prayers, and I'm only saying it for the benefit of my child, because I'm giving Jesus the side eye and I'm angry. So then Courtney, out of the blue, says, Mommy, can we pray for Mr. So-and-so? And I was like, what? She was like, can we pray for him? I was like, yeah. She was like, I feel sad for him because he's a mean person, and I don't think he likes to be mean. When I tell you I didn't like that little girl, I didn't like Courtney at that point. Number one, why is you thinking about him? He kept you locked up in a room for 2 years. He kept Courtney locked up in a room for 2 years. And so you want to pray for him? She's 7 at this time. Good morning, Lynn. So you want to pray for him? Why do you want to pray for him when you stayed locked up in your room for 2 years? You was only allowed out for dinner and to go to school. Why do you want to pray for him? I'm still mad at Jesus. I'm still mad at him. I'm crying and got all kind of things going on, and then you gonna come to me and ask me to pray for him? So I had to get on my knees and pray, because that's how we pray. So we get on our knees to pray, and Courtney looks to me to start the prayer. Y'all, what am I fixing to pray about for a man that I hate with my whole soul? I hate him with my toenails. I hate him with my fingernails. Like, I don't like him at all. But here it is. A 7-year-old is looking at me to pray for a man that even kept her locked up in her room for 2 years. Because she said she thinks he's sad because he doesn't like being mean. What? I don't care. I wanted to tell Courtney, confessions and conversation, I don't care nothing about him. I don't care if he's sad, happy, glad, scratch your butt. I don't care nothing about him. I don't want to pray for him. But here I am on my knees, and Courtney is looking at me to start the prayer. And y'all, I start the prayer, so you know how you do your journal. Lord, thank you for waking us up this morning. Candles up, family circle not broken, blah, blah, blah. You know how you say all of that. So she can say that with me. But it comes to the point where now we have to pray for what she asked me to pray for. And when I tell you it was hard to part my lips, yeah, I hated it with my every inch of my hair on my body. I hated him. So you mean to tell me I got to pray for the man that beat me? I got to pray for him because you think he feels sad? I want to tell Courtney he didn't feel sad about nothing he did. He felt A-okay. But as she's looking at me, because at this point it's a real silence, like as mommy sleep silence. And I had to open up my mouth, y'all, and pray for this man that I hated with every fiber of my being. Like if I had a car, I would have ran him over with the car. Like I ain't even gonna, when you've been through things like that, you have a deep-seated hate for somebody, because then it's life or death, and they clearly value their life over yours. And so now I got to pray for him. So when I start this prayer, I am praying with all the attitude that I can possibly muster in my soul. I am praying and rolling my eyes. I am praying, and there's no sincerity anywhere to be found. I am praying simply because my 7-year-old asked me to. Lord, bless him. Lord, let him have a good day. Lord, please let him prosper, but not with me. Jesus, we thank you that you didn't kill him on this day. Amen. I didn't have nothing else to say. And that was about as good as I could get it. That's about as good as I could get it. And it wasn't, and Courtney was okay with that. So we get up, right, ate to the man, because that was all I had. Because how do you pray for somebody you hate? And so Courtney got up and she went to bed, and I was mad. Like, I was mad. How dare this little girl at 7 tell me to pray for somebody who treated her bad, and he treated me bad? Why are we praying for him? Y'all, whole anger conversation with God. Like, Jesus, you gonna make my child ask me to pray for him? Really? That's what we're gonna do, Jesus? How many of y'all, listen, confessions and conversation, I talk to Jesus just like that. Like, really, Lord, this what we about to do? This what you want me here to do? JoJo, just for real, this what you want me to do. Good morning. I'm just saying. So, forgiveness starts at the bare basics of what you can give and what you can do. For me, that was the very beginning, because I was bound and determined to hold on to the hate that I had, with every fiber in my being. I was scared of him, and I hated him, and I wanted him to die. Like, there was no in between for me. There was nothing. The earth, as my mama say, the earth ain't big enough for me and you both to breathe the same air. That's where I was standing, okay? And so when you are trying to forgive somebody, and y'all, I didn't even know I was on a journey to live past crazy at this point. I just knew, and I didn't know it till after I got mad at Courtney, to after I prayed, to after I got angry at God and prayed to him and got mad at him and had a whole attitude. Like, and this process was a good week and a half, 2 weeks long. Like, it was a process. It wasn't until after that point that I realized I don't want to be as angry and mean as he is. And then the thought came, well, JoJo, you well on your way, girl, because you hate him with your toenails. You hate him with all the hair on your body. Like, when you wake up, he's the first hate that you think about. All day, he's the hate that you think about. And every action that you do is the hate that you think about. And when you go to sleep, it's the hate that you have. So, if you don't want to be like him and be as mean as him, then surely to goodness, you're going to have to change some action. Y'all. I didn't like that. When I tell you that, and I try to convince God, like, can I not like him a little bit and still change? You know how you try to bargain with Jesus? Like, can I hate him because he did these things, but then forgive him? Or there was no... And so my first baby step was forced by Courtney, and it was to pray. And y'all, we got to celebrate those first steps, however they may come, however they may be. And I had... Courtney was my first movement. Now, it took me 2 weeks after that. Now, I ain't even gonna lie. I ain't pray for the brother no more. Like, after that, we moved the next time. And I remember this vividly. The next time I prayed for my ex-husband, I had found us a house. We were living there. I was at IBM. I was barely making it. And I was reading my Bible. And I can't remember the verse that I read. But at the end of at the end of the chapter, I had, it was time to pray and go to bed. So I got down on my knees, and something told me to pray for him. And again, I'm like, I don't want to. I prayed for him. Courtney had to be like 8, 9, so it's a good year and a half later. I prayed for him. Remember, when I first left, Courtney forced me to pray for him, so I don't want to pray anymore. But the feeling would not go away that I had to pray for this man. And I prayed for this man, y'all, so hard. Like, I was in tears, crying, that ugly sobbing, Lord, bless him, bless his. Like, I prayed for him like you would pray for, your closest loved one. And in the beginning, when I started to pray, I ain't even gonna lie, I was still mad. But as the prayer went along, it got deeper. And the more I prayed, the more I had to pray. And then I couldn't stop praying. And then I was done. I had so much peace about how I was going to live my life. Because when you hold on to anger and frustration, and you hold on to the fear, it becomes your life. And it had became my life because I didn't like him, and I didn't want him to be on the earth with me. Hey, I'm just saying. And so, because I felt all those things, I couldn't really move on what I needed to move on. And when I did move on things, I wasn't doing it to the full extent of me, because, I had to reserve a piece of me for the hate and the madness and the hurt. And so during that prayer, I prayed, that God release all of that from me, and then I forgive him. It was a whole process. So forgiveness truly is for you. Don't let people tell you the cliches. Please go through the process and take the baby steps. Like, again, my first prayer, honey, I hated him with my toenails. So, and I prayed with my eyes rolling and with all the attitude I could muster to the Lord above. Lord, forgive me for being disrespectful, but I sure did. And it's the small, remember, it is the small victories that and it's the accumulation of all your small steps that lead to your transformation. So forgiveness will free up space inside of you so that now you can accept more. I would have never been able to get married a second time if I had not forgiven him. I would have never been able to make room for blessings to come in if I'd never forgiven him, because all that hate and that anger and that frustration was taking up space. It was taking up valuable space. And then when I realized that he's gone. So, and here's the crazy thing that I had to come to a realization of, as I was not wanting to forgive him, that I wanted to hate him so much, and I did. I hated him. Please understand. I hated him so much, but I was gone. I wasn't being hit and getting black eyes anymore, but he was constantly in my head. He was constantly in my nightmares. He was constantly in my thoughts. He was still there, even though I wasn't gone. And then I got angry at me, like, JoJo, that's not fair. He ain't even here to bust you in the mouth, to push your head into the concrete wall. He ain't even here to do none of that. But yet you still thinking about him? You still talking about him? You still... What? Then I got angry at myself. And then I was like, how can you say you glad you left, but you keep reliving it? Remember we talked about that yesterday? How you keep reliving it, and it becomes eventually a behavior that you pass down to your children, because a behavior is simply a series of thoughts that you keep connecting, that you keep reinforcing over and over and over again. And when I looked at it, and I kept saying, oh, well, I left because I didn't want my girls to see their mama getting beat or hearing all that. But I didn't want them to see it, but I was living it out in front of them by my actions. Even though he wasn't there, he was still here. And so I was still living it out, even though he wasn't there. And so when I got angry that, oh my God, he ain't even here and he's still taking up space in my life, then the forgiveness got easier. Then the prayers got easier. And then eventually he left my thoughts. Like, I can tell my story now and I am detached from it. Like, it's a thing that happened. It's no longer who I am. It is what has happened to me in the past, and I share it so it can help somebody now here in the future. In the beginning, I could not detach myself from that because the forgiveness wasn't there. And it's going to be a process. So when people say, hey, just forgive them, it's for you, it ain't really for them, This is my take on it. It's okay to be angry. The Bible says you can get angry, but you sin not. It didn't say nothing about you not being mad, because you can get mad. So feel the emotions and then understand how much more space are you going to allow that thing or that person to take up in your life, because right now you are balancing and building your life around the thing that has hurt you, right? Fair to say, around the crazy. And the more you acknowledge the crazy, the more you keep building your life around it, the harder it is going to be to forgive it, and the more that they have control over your life. So that's how forgiveness works for me. I didn't want him to have any more control over my life, even though I had left. And then when I realized and I got angry about that, then the forgiveness became easier. Then I understood it's truly for me and not for them. Now, forgiveness is not to say what they did is not wrong. Hell yeah, what he did was wrong. I'm just saying. It was all the way to the left wrong. However, I have got to move on, because if I'm going to continue to relive what he did, what's the difference in him being here and me being there? There's no difference, because the emotional, the mental is still attached to you. So you need to get angry that even though they're not there with you anymore, they're still taking up space with you. And if you're mad at them and mad at what they did to you, why you continue to let them take up space in your mind? Why do that? Because that makes no sense. But until it becomes that reality for you, until it becomes that real, then you're going to stay. Then the forgiveness is going to be really hard. Then it's always going to be, Jojo, you don't understand. Jojo, you don't know what he did to me. Y'all, my husband had his wife in front of me, in front of my newborn daughter, after he tied me up. I understand. I overstand. He tried to have me committed to a mental hospital. Oh, sister, brother, I understand how you don't want to forgive nobody. I understand. However, if you just start the process a tiny bit and free up some space in your mind and in your life to accept more, because you say you want more, but you're holding on to that hurt, so more can't come in, because hurt is taking it up, and you've built your entire life around it. Until you get to that part, it's going to be difficult. And until you realize that, they're going to be in your life, whether you want them to or not. That crazy is going to be in your life, whether you invite them in or not. It's going to be there. So that was part 1. Here's part 2. Courage to speak the truth. You, along this journey, you got to forgive, and you got to have courage to speak the truth. I tell you guys, one of my quotes is, I'm speaking my truth. I'm strengthening my voice by speaking my truth. And you've got to have courage to speak your truth. Your truth is yours and yours alone. One thing about the truth is it never changes. You can wake me up in the middle of the night in my story, and you can ask me from any point in my book, anything I've ever said, and I'm going to pick it up right where I left off at. You've got to have courage to speak the truth. And speaking the truth sometimes is hurtful. It is hurtful for you because you have lived the lie so long that the truth doesn't feel right. You have adjusted and accommodated for so long that the truth of the situation doesn't seem like reality. Does that make sense? Like you've been living in crazy for so long that when you really start looking at the truth of it, you think, now, Jojo, this can't be real right here. Oh, it's real, my sister. It's real. It's just that you've gotten so used to the lie of the life that when you start speaking the truth, it's going to sound crazy to you. And it's going to sound crazy to those around you. It's going to sound crazy to your friends and your family. But the more you strengthen your voice by speaking your truth, the more you stand in it. And like I said on Monday, the more you trust that knower and give that inner you more confidence to speak, the easier it's going to become. But you've got to have courage to speak the truth the first time. Even if you mumble it, even if you barely get it out in a whisper, even if that means you got to write it down first. You got to have courage to speak the truth. Speak the truth about the reality of the lie, the reality of your life, the reality of the relationship, the situation, whatever it is. You got to look at that. And when you start to look at that, here's another thing I had to realize. When I started looking at the truth of some things, I had to realize my participation in a lot of it. And I had to realize my participation that I didn't like. And then I had to realize, well, what lies did I tell myself to accommodate the crazy that I wanted to allow in my life? Like JoJo, he's a good man, you know, he just a little bit crazy, and he's not as crazy as the last one. And at least he got a job, and at least he worked, and you know, at least he come home every night, and at least he ain't, and those at least will kill you, my girl, my sister. At least will kill you. Because when you have to say at least, that means you are making accommodations or exceptions. You are freeing that person up from taking responsibility to do what needs to be done. Or you are freeing yourself. You are relieving yourself of the responsibility to do what needs to be done. So when I can say, and Margaret and Valerie are on here, we have some true conversations, y'all. When I say at least, I am then trying to take off the responsibility from myself to do what I need to do. So then I can't speak my true truth. I don't have the courage to speak my true truth, because now when I say at least, I'm making exceptions for, so that I don't have to deal with whatever it is that's I have to deal with. Does that make sense? You got to have courage to speak the truth. And the minute we start to say at least, well, I'm not as bad as, well, JoJo, you know, he a good man. He ain't do like your man and beat you upside the head. But the mental and emotional, I can heal from the physical. Like this eye, it looks like it's permanently blacked unless I put some heavy makeup. The light hit it. People always think I have a black eye. That will always heal. The mental, the emotional stays here way longer. And when you start to make concessions and accommodations, it affects this far more than you could ever imagine. And not only affects it, it's then going to affect how you walk it out. Because once an abuser, a narcissist, a controlling person, a bad situation, whatever it is, negative behavior, negative thoughts, once they seep into here and they become your thought process, because you start to accommodate for it, right? So I knew what not to say to my abuser. I knew how to talk, how to walk. I knew what to say not to get a bloody lip. I knew what to say for him not to call me fat, stupid, ugly. I knew what to do to not have those words come out of his mouth. So do you think that stopped instantaneously after I left? No. We talking years down the line that I finally overcame that and replaced my thoughts with his thoughts. Because his thoughts were causing me to live out a different life that I didn't want. So when you start to say at least and not as bad as, but he don't do, are we making accommodations for the person? Are we freeing them up for the responsibility to do what they need to do? Because when you speak, you got to have courage to speak your truth. And the truth of the situation is sometimes it's ugly. It's ugly when you look at the truth of what's really going on. And not only is it ugly, when you get it down to the bare bones, it's embarrassing, number one. And that's why we stay with crazy sometimes, because when we have those heart-to-heart talks with ourselves, like when we in the shower, like, JoJo, this is crazy. I cannot believe that you are here again. I cannot believe we're going through the same thing again. So it's embarrassing to have to come out and say, you know what, I messed up again. And I talked about that on Tuesday. It's okay to make a mistake. You got to be okay with that. And here's the thing. It's okay to make a mistake. Okay, I done made a mistake, but now let me correct that. People make mistakes all day, every day. And so it's embarrassing when we start to speak our truth. It's embarrassing because it may shed a light on us, on what we have accommodated for so long. And then the reality of it. Like, really? I live like this for how long? Man. And then you're going to call yourself crazy. And it's okay. Because there's life after crazy. I promise. The first step is, though, you have got to have the courage to speak your truth. And the courage to speak your truth simply means you got to have courage to acknowledge the very thing that you don't want to. To look it in the face, open up your mouth and say, no, what is my intent? What is my intention? Why am I saying yes? Why do you keep saying yes to that thing? Why do you keep accommodating? And it's a fine line between respect of people and accommodating people in relationships and friendships that are reciprocal. That we're in this together. There's a difference. I'm talking the extreme of where ain't no good coming in. You know what I'm saying? So don't get off here and be like, oh, you ain't accommodating me, so we can't be together. And you truly have a good friend, a good person, a good work relationship, whatever it may be. It's a fine line. So check yourself on that. I'm always a fan of checking myself first. But you've got to have courage to speak your truth. List it out. I'm a fan of writing everything down. Write it out. List it out. Say what it is and what it ain't. And then get over the embarrassment part. And that may take you a couple of days to get over the embarrassment part, because most times we're embarrassed for ourselves. Forget telling it to somebody else. Yeah, we'll be embarrassed of that too, but we embarrassed with ourselves first. Yeah, I cannot see anything. So if y'all saying anything, I can't see. We're embarrassed with ourselves first. So get over that. That may take you a minute to get over there, and then you're gonna have that talk with yourself. JoJo, I can't believe, you in this spot again. You said you wasn't gonna be in this situation no more, but here you are again. Girl, when are you at? Y'all know y'all talk to yourself. I can't be the only one. What are you going to do now? Honey, it is okay that we made a mistake. Now that we have acknowledged that we've made a mistake, now we got to have the courage to speak our truth, that I'm no longer going to do this. Now you need to stand firm in this. And I think this is the hardest part for everybody. It was a hard part for me. Is that when we start having these new rules to the new you, and when we start speaking, having the courage to speak our truth, and we start saying what we're no longer accommodating, it's a scary place, because now we are at a crossroads where we can either lose everything we got, or we're going to gain a whole lot more. And we're not sure, because either the crazy the crazy you don't. Am I willing to lose this relationship, this friendship? I mean, look at all the years I done put in it. Look at all the hard work. Why somebody else got to benefit from the hard work I've done? Why should, I be the one? And when you get to that point, right there, that's the place where battles are won. That's where you got to decide if you're going to be disciplined. That's where you got to decide if you're going to be committed. That, my friend, is where you have to decide, are you worth it or not? And if you're worth it, then it does not matter. I don't care who's going to benefit from what happened. I don't care how many years it's been. I don't care. This is what I have to do. I'm speaking my truth. I have the courage to speak my truth. And the reality is the situation is crazy. And in order for it to stop, I've got to stop it. And that means I got to put my big girl panties on. And I have got to have courage to speak my truth. Of this is not what I want anymore. Now, I ain't going to say you ain't going to cry. I ain't going to say your feelings ain't going to be hurt. And I think a lot of times we're afraid of being lonely. But when I tell you, when you set those standards, when you change to different comes. If you never change to different, you'll never see different. You'll only see the same. I'm telling you. So those are the two fearless thoughts for today. Forgiveness is part of your growth process. Take it in the baby steps that you can take it in. Okay? Don't let somebody throw cliche stuff at you and you accept it and think that's how it got to be. Nah, sister. You got to work that thing. You got to walk that thing out yourself. Okay? Go back, and if you missed the story, go back and listen to it. It was hard and it took me some time. I'm just saying. But then when you get to that point where you realize you're out of the crazy situation, or you're past it, or the hurt is gone, but they still taking up mental and emotional space, and then you get angry about that, then it's going to become easier. And then have the courage to speak the truth. Have the courage to speak your truth about what is real. Write it down. And then it's okay to be embarrassed. I know I will. Oh my God, I was so embarrassed. Like it hurt, like embarrassed, like I was sick on the stomach, embarrassed of my own self, of the things that I had allowed to happen, or the things that I had done. Let's just be all the way real. I was embarrassed for all those things. But when I had the courage to speak my truth, yep, this happened. Okay, whatever. I'm done with that. It's okay to make a mistake. I made a mistake. And yep, I may have made this mistake 20,000 times. But guess what? Today I'm not making it anymore. Today I'm having the courage to speak my truth. That this is no longer, period, going to happen to me, period. Or I'm no longer going to allow this to be, period. Or I'm no longer going to accept these things, period. When you get there, y'all, that's the best feeling ever. The embarrassment that I felt, the hurt, the shame, because a lot of it is shame. The shame that I felt, it kind of went away. And every day, it went away more and more and more, to now I can tell the story. I'm not attached to it. I'm not ashamed of it. I made a mistake. I corrected it. And I'm just trying to help my sisters out in these streets. Trying to help you guys out so you don't have to continue to live in crazy. Because I promise there is life after crazy. And I'm just telling you, I'm just sharing with you. And who am I? I'm just JoJo from Forest City. Worked at McDonald's my whole life. 14 to 22. I'm just saying. Who am I to be telling anybody anything? But I do know crazy. And so I share my steps of how to live past crazy in the hopes that it's going to help somebody get to where they need to be. Or at least make them think differently, that perhaps what if I tried one thing. And you can try it with your knees shaking. Y'all don't know. Let me tell y'all something about fear. Oh my God. Fear has made me throw up. Fear has had me in the floor shaking. Fear has had me hyperventilating. Fear has had me in the hospital not knowing what's wrong with me. Fear has crippled me till I couldn't move. I understand the fear of having to face your crazy and then do something about it. I understand that. Been there and done that. The first time I went to court to see my abuser face to face, the deputy sheriff had to carry me into the courtroom and then help me to the stand. The judge had to come and sit beside me to hear me because I could not physically speak. I was shaking so bad. I couldn't even hold my head up. I was just, and there was snot and there was tears and there was crying. Like, I know that kind of fear. So I'm telling you, step by step, how it's got to be, how it's going to work out. I understand all the emotions along the way, but I promise you, once you start the process and you start to free up a little bit of yourself and release a little bit of that fear, a little bit of that anxiety and that stress that comes along with it, then you are allowing more room for better things to come in. Right now, you may want better, but better can't come in because of the forgiveness thing. Better can't come in because you haven't had the courage to speak your truth yet. So until you have courage to speak your truth, my friend, aspects of your crazy may continue. And you say, well, JoJo, it's not as crazy as it once was. I agree. It's not. And mine wasn't, once I started the steps, crazy wasn't as crazy as it used to be. But I had to complete all the steps for it to be completely gone. Or now when I see crazy coming or it shows its face, I can walk myself through it quicker than I used to. Now it doesn't take me months and years to get past it. Now I can say, oh, so you crazy, the situation. So this is how I'm going to deal with you. And then I work it out. And in a day, 2 days tops, we have worked that thing out. Now, if I hold on to it, it's because I want to hold on to it because I don't have the courage to speak the truth to that crazy yet. So that is the fearless thought for today. Have courage to speak your truth, and forgiveness truly is for you. Walk that thing out slowly. Take it step by step. And your forgiveness process ain't got to be pretty. It ain't got to be how everybody in the book say it got to be. It's got to be what's true to your soul. And how you get there, baby, is how you get there. Never apologize for your process of getting to where you need to be. We all figuring it out in this life. And I'm simply sharing my story on how to live past crazy so that you don't have to be as crazy as I was. And perhaps I said something that's going to help you, or some tools that you can use to just at least think different for a minute to start the process. Because I'm telling you, I've been to crazy, and I've been to hell and back. And I done looked the devil in his face, and he ain't a good looking man. Let me tell you something. I've been there, and I've done all of that. So have the courage to speak your truth today. Know that forgiveness truly is for you, but walk it out how you see fit, piece by piece, little step. Remember, it's the accumulation of the little things that makes the transformation. So, and that's the only thing that we're seeking after. So, all right, guys, I hope you have an amazing Thursday. Please don't forget to share the show. If your friends and family do not have Facebook, there's a whole YouTube channel over there, Fearless Morning Show, if you simply type it in. And then if they don't have social media, but they have an email, they can have the Fearless Morning Show delivered to their email box. So the Fearless Thought today. And then the 5 book series, Foundations Matter, is on sale for it was on sale for pre-sale. Today is the last day for $19.99. bit.ly/foundations, and that's F in sign language. Foundations Matter. So go over there to bit.ly/foundations matter and get you a copy. They will be delivered to your email box today. So if you order, it will be delivered to you today. And it is $19. They're on sale for $19 for the pre-order. But today, no, you got to have the courage to speak your truth. You've got to. And get over the shame and the embarrassment of the realization of what's really going on. And then still have the courage to speak your truth. And remember, forgiveness truly is about you. And you got to work and walk that thing out how you see fit. There is no right or wrong way to forgiving somebody. It's how you feeling in your soul to forgive them. And when I tell y'all I understand the hate, let me tell you, I hated that man with my toenails. I hated him with every fiber of my being. And it was the tiny steps of forgiveness. It's the accumulation of the small things that makes the transformation great. So if you know somebody who needs to live past crazy, send them over this way. Please make sure you share the show. Maybe this is something they need to hear today. I know it was having the courage to speak your truth was for me today. That was all for me. So I appreciate you guys allowing me to share that. And you come along as I walk it out and work through it. So that's it. My name is Yamitra Jojo Watt, of the only Live Past Crazy Specialist. So what better place to be than here with me? I am my sister's keeper. The I am my sister's keeper t-shirts are available at livepastcrazy.com under the store section are the t-shirts, and you can order your shirt there. Miss Margaret has hers. And so I'm a firm believer that if I can help a sister who can help change her family, they can change their community, and we will change the world. I am my sister's keeper. I promise you that I am. Seek you out a purpose partner who's going to celebrate you and help you take what you see here to help you see it here. If you don't have a purpose partner, I'd be more than glad. And it doesn't have to be an awkward conversation. Just say, Joe, can you be my purpose partner? Boo, I got you. But everything I'm asking for are the things I'm willing to give. All right, guys, I hope you have an amazing day. Excuse me. Don't forget to grab the book, bit.ly/foundations matter. bit.ly/foundations matter. And the F is capitalized in that. All right. I hope you have an amazing Thursday. This is Thankful Thursday. Today is Thankful Thursday. Thinking Thursday. It's Thinking Thursday. So if I've said something that's helped you, please let me know so I know that I'm not talking to myself. I greatly appreciate it. And I hope you guys have an amazing Thursday. Be peaceful.